7th. You have an agenda in front of you. Staff, are there any additions to the agenda?
None, Your Worship.
Okay, any additions from council? Thank you. Seeing none. Any declaration of interest by councillors? Seeing none, we'll move forward to reports. Report number 1, zoning 1137 Arsenal 4080 20th Street Northeast, R7 to R8. I'll ask the Director of Development Services to explain that proposal.
Your Worship, I do have a motion to read first.
Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Flynn, that the Development and Planning Services Committee recommends to Council that a bylaw be prepared, adoption of which would amend zoning bylaw 2303 by rezoning lot 13, plan EPP 68403 from R7 large lot single family to R8 residential suite zone.
Thank you.
Your Worship, the property is located in the Green Emerald subdivision, just east of Upper Raven. It's been developed by Gary Arsenault, and the applicant in this case is his son Adam Arsenault, who would like to rezone the property from R7 to R8 to allow, well, right now the property is zoned R7, large lot residential, and if rezoned to R8, the house being built on the property will be allowed to have a basement suite in it. There's no intention for a detached suite on this property, just a basement suite. And there's also a covenant on the property that restricts subdivision, would keep the parcel at its present size of 1/3 of an acre. And a lot of the properties shown on the air photo here, which is taken almost 3 years ago, have been built out now. So there's dwelling to the south, dwellings to the north, and dwellings in behind. This property we're looking at today is not a panhandle access lot. These driveways here are panhandles. The OCP is supportive of the proposal. The area is designated low-density residential, at least the subdivision is. To the east, it's ALR and acreage reserve, and staff recommend support.
Great, thank you. I don't see Mr. Arsenault in the gallery this morning, so I will ask Council if they have any questions regarding this proposal. Okay, I don't see any. I just wanted to inquire a bit about the parking to Development Services. The parking is going to be on the back side of the house, is that correct? Not the street side?
I'll just find the site plan on page 9. Here's the front, and the parking is shown on the side. So 20th Street is here, and the parking spot is shown here. Okay. Up the panhandle.
So just to clarify, that's useful to see. The parking garage, the driveway actually for the house is up, and the parking garage is, yeah. You go in and then go straight ahead, is that right? In behind, yeah. So the driveway to the garage is in the back of the house. Okay. So it looks like there'll be an extra space there. It looks like there's ample parking just on the actual driveway as well, as far as meeting the bylaws parking needs. Is that other parking space necessary? Probably not, Your Worship. That's why I didn't really know the answer to it, to be honest with you, because I looked at the parcel size and it's huge. Okay. There's ample space for parking. All right. Thank you very much. Any other inquiries by councillors? Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to,
you know.
Thank you.
There we go.
Through you to the Director of Development Services. So you mentioned that this isn't one of the panhandle lots, yet the access is off the Panhandle driveway for the other lot?
That's correct. Like it doesn't have a panhandle, but it has an easement over the panhandle, so it has rights to it.
And was it our intent when this subdivision was approved to not allow direct to the street access, but to use the panhandles, or can they do either?
That's correct too.
That they can do either?
No.
No.
What you said first.
What I said first, okay. So it was the original subdivision plan that said access to these lots would be off the panhandle, shared panhandle access for the back lots?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And also, that's needed too because there's a ditch along, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Thank you. Passes unanimously. We'll move to item number 2, zoning 1135, variance permit 492, Jeff Stacer, 661 21st Street Northeast, R4 to R8, parcel width variance. We have a motion.
Moved by Councillor Lyson, seconded by Councillor Lindgren, that the Development and Planning Services Committee recommends to Council that VP 492 be authorized for issuance for Lot 2, Plan KAP 9770 to vary zoning bylaw 2303 as follows. Decrease the minimum parcel width from 14 to 13.7 meters for proposed lots 1 and 2.
Thank you. Director of Development Services.
This property is located on 21st Street Northeast, a major arterial traffic route between Okanagan Avenue and the Trans-Canada Highway. The property is presently zoned R4, medium density residential, and it's vacant. At one time there was a house on this property not too long ago with a business, Thompson Plumbing and Heating, and the former owner rezoned the property from R1 to R4. The application in front of you, there's 2 parts to it. There's a rezoning proposal from R4 to R8 to allow for the property to be split into 2 lots, and each lot would be able to have a secondary suite within it. And the minimum frontage of a lot in the R8 zone is 14 meters. Each lot proposed would be 30 meters just shy of that. Sorry, not 30 meters, 30 centimeters, 1 foot. So 13.7 meters instead of 14 meters in width, and that's what the variance is being asked for. If this was a rezoning application and the property was 30 centimeters less than the minimum, council would have the ability to rezone that property, but the approving officer cannot approve a subdivision unless the proposed lot meets all bylaw requirements, which is why the variance is being applied for. And Jeff Stacer is here today. The area is designated for medium density residential, and there are examples of other properties in the vicinity that have been developed to the R4 density, such as this property right here on 20th. I don't know why the screen looks like that. The pixels aren't shrinking, but basically same size property as what's being applied for here with 4 units. But the intent is not to develop it under R4. It's a downzoning for a fewer number of units in the end. The OCP doesn't mention anything about not supporting downzoning or lowering density, and therefore staff support the proposal.
Great, thank you. And good morning, Jeff. Would you like to come forward and speak to us about your proposal? Welcome to council.
Thank you, Your Worship. Basically, I have spoken to the neighbors, and everybody thinks it's a great idea downsizing it. Other than that, I'm basically just here to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Great, thank you. And thank you for communicating with your neighbors. I'll just see if there's any questions from council. Any questions from council for Mr. Stacer? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for staff or comments from council? Seeing none, I will ask the question. All those in favor? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move to item number 3, variance permit 487, Cox, PNV number 641, Highway 97B Northeast, parcel coverage variance. We have a motion.
Moved by Council Lavery, seconded by Council Wallace Richmond, that the Development and Planning Services Committee recommends to Council that a bylaw be prepared, adoption of which would amend zoning bylaw 2303 by rezoning Lot 2, Plan KAP 79770 from R4 medium density residential to R8 residential suite zone, and further that final reading be withheld subject to approval by the Ministry of Transportation.
Great, thank you. Director of Development Services.
Your Worship, are we talking about the parcel coverage variance or?
Yes.
Okay. So this application is to increase the parcel coverage on a property in the Carriage Lane subdivision out on Highway 97B from 35% to 41.2%. The property has been zoned for mobile home park use for a long time. It's in the ALR still, the property. Not too long ago, it was brought into the urban containment boundary of the city. And there's a 30-lot bare land subdivision within. And the campground still exists as well. A number of variances have been approved by council over the years, over the last 8 years. Variances to allow for the construction of basements under mobile homes, under all of them. And 2 other parcel coverage variances very similar to this one. I'll point out a few minor errors in the report on the first page. It refers to VP 471, but it's actually variance permit 487. That's been corrected, and the report will be corrected for council. Also in the report, it says north here in terms of the proximity to other land uses. North of the property is actually Haney Park, not the common access road, so that's been corrected as well. And there's going to be another application very similar to this one in the same subdivision coming forward by the owner of the remaining lots, the Mutos. And it was proposed for 1 lot, and I suggested to them that they may want to amend their application so that it covers all the remaining lots, which aren't very many actually. There's only a few left, and it sounds like they're going to do that. The maximum site coverage of 35% is from the mobile home park bylaw, which is an old bylaw. There's reasons why it's lower in the R1 zone, and this is very much like an R1 subdivision. The maximum parcel coverage is 45%. So really, if all these are increased to 45% parcel coverage to allow for a dwelling and an attached garage, I don't see any impact whatsoever on that. I'm not sure if the applicant is here. They were invited to the meeting.
Thank you. Are you a representative? Is that Virginia up there? No. Oh, that's Jen. Hi, Jen.
Here, try these ones.
Jen, you're looking much younger today. Is there any questions from council on this variance request?
Your Worship, I think we've gotten off track a bit here. What we're actually dealing with is the rezoning for item 5.3.
For 5.2?
5.3 involves actually a rezoning and a variance. So we're on the rezoning component.
Well, 5.2 you mean.
Of the Stacer program?
No, we've dealt with Stacer 5.2. Now we're on 5.3.
Okay, so that's not a part of our package.
It's just
Can you come over here?
yeah, we did. I think we did both. I don't think we did both.
We'll just give staff a moment.
Your worship, the administrator read out the motion for the variance, but did not read out the motion for the rezoning for Jeff Stacer's application.
Yeah, I did.
It's all right.
So if I could clarify, your worship, item 5.3, which is the variance permit for Stacer, sorry, 5.2 we've dealt with, and now we're on to 5.3, which is the rezoning.
Okay, so just to clarify, on our agenda, we have 5.1 Arsenal, which we did. We have 5.2 Stacer, and I think the understanding of council was we were doing both the variance and the rezoning under the same motion, because 5.3 on our agenda is actually the variance for Cox. So it's okay if we need to go back to 5.2 and do the second half of that, which would be the rezoning piece. Just want to clarify.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I've actually read the motion for the rezoning.
Okay, yes. So you read the motion for the rezoning and we talked about the variance for 5.3. I understand. All right. So, council, we will go to 5.2, second section, and I'll ask the administrator to read the second part of that motion with the movers, please.
So this would be item 5.3.
Okay. That means we'll add an item 5.4 to our agenda that we do not have on here. Okay, no problem. So 5.3 would be Stacer rezoning.
Yes, and I'll just read the motion again. Moved by Council Lavery, second by Council Wallace-Richmond, that the Development and Planning Services Committee recommends to Council that a bylaw be prepared, adoption of which would amend zoning bylaw 2303 by rezoning Lot 2, Plan KAP 79770 from R4 medium density to R8 residential suite zone, and further that final reading be withheld subject to approval by the Ministry of Transportation.
Great, thank you. I think we're on track. Director of Development Services, do you want to speak about the rezoning, please?
Sure, Your Worship. So the property is 661 21st Street Northeast. The property's zoned R4 at the moment, and the application is to rezone it to R8 residential suite zone to facilitate a two-lot subdivision. The applicant is Jeff Stacer.
Great, thank you. And I don't think we need to ask Mr. Stacer to come forward again. We'll just see if there's any questions from council on the rezoning piece. Council, any questions? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Thank you, passed unanimously. Now we'll move on to variance 487. Cox, number 641, Highway 97B, Northeast. Could I have a motion, please?
Moved by Council Eliason, second by Council Lindgren, that the Development and Planning Services Committee recommends to Council that VP 487 be authorized for issuance for Strata Lot 21, Plan EPS 2062, to vary mobile home park bylaw 1435 as follows. Increase the maximum site coverage from 35 to 41.2%.
Great, thank you. I don't think we need the Director of Development Services to re-report that. I think we all understand. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? It's passed unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to item number 6, which is an informational item. Feasibility of installing green technology on a city-owned facility. And council, you have all seen the report. There's no motion involved with this report. It's for your information, but I will open it up if there's any councillors that wish to speak to it. Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Mayor Harrison, and thanks to staff and the Chief Administrator for bringing this report forwards. I guess 3 things. One's a thank you. The second one is a bit of an apology, I think, and the third one is just a suggestion of how we proceed with this. So again, thanks to staff for bringing this forward. The apology is a little more, and I'll take some responsibility for it. I think that the original motion a number of months ago really put staff in a bind as to what council was really asking for. And I must admit, from my part, I was interested in photovoltaic panels on a pilot project on a small property. There were different ideas at this table as to where those properties could be, so the motion expanded into a more general one, which I think then was a conundrum for staff moving forward. I think the reality is that we need to refocus this conversation, but not this morning at this table. My suggestion would be is that we, with the concurrence of this table, we bring it back at a further council session. The reason I'm suggesting that, there's a number of things. I'm not, there's probably a number of points on there that, on the report that I would like to explore a little bit more. There's one or two that I disagree with to some degree in intent. But also there's the implication, we're just heading into the budget process here in half an hour, whatever it is, 40 minutes. The amount of money that will be in the climate action fund will be contingent on the decisions that we make in the upcoming budget here in a little while. And while I have some thoughts on that, I think we can't have a prescriptive discussion on this until we know what the outcome of the budget decision is. As an example, right now there's about $62,000 in the Climate Action Fund with the budget proposal to remove $60,000 of that. And I think we need to have that discussion first. I'm not sure, Your Worship, whether we need a motion or not, or just a suggestion that we can bring this back to a further council.
Okay, I'll check with the administrator. Do we need a motion to bring it back, or?
No, we don't, Your Worship, and I'll schedule it at the next regular council meeting.
That would be terrific, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery, for your leadership on this. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. We need to go in camera for a small property issue. Could I have a motion from council to move in camera? Councillor Lavery, second Councillor Wallace-Richmond. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll go to room 100. We'll come back for budget at 9 o'clock.